day of Session Orientation Program 2022 for Batch 2021. On behalf of DME Media School, I, Dr. Manasvi Maheshwari, would like to extend a warm welcome to our guest of the 6th session of SOP, Dr. Survesh Dutt Tripathi. He is a media educator, senior faculty from University School of Mass Communication, Guru Gobind Singh, Indraprasth University, Delhi. I request Dr. Shushmita Bala, Dr. Amrish Saxena to welcome the guest with a small token of gratitude. Now I request Dr. Amrish Saxena, Dean DME Media School, to give his opening remarks.
So, it's an encouraging strength now. Today is the 4th day of SOP session orientation.
Interactive बनाया जा सकता है क्या?
That was started on Monday for the current batch, which has now joined the second year, the third semester. And whatever papers are being taken up in this semester, in each of the subject we have invited the experts to talk to you in those areas, and development communication is one major area, which is a paper which has offshoots in all branches, in all media platforms, whether we talk about print, radio, television, wherever we are producing the content or broadcasting the content or publishing the content, the element of development has to be there always. And it is closely associated with our lives and the way the curriculum of BAJMC has been coined. That aspect is there in one form or the other. Like we will have this elective paper of environment as well. So there are different dimensions. I will not go into those details because we have an expert to talk about that. But then development, the essence of development is something which you need to understand, and the kind of lecture that is going to be delivered by Dr. Survesh Tripathi, I believe that you will have a fair understanding of development and development communication and how that understanding will help you while you are working whichever media platform you finally opt for. So I welcome Dr. Tripathi to be in this session. He is always there whenever we request him to be here in DME to take any session. Obviously for the last 2 years it was mostly online. Now we are back to normal, so the things are happening in the physical space, and I haven't found a better person than him.
इसको पर्स में डाल ही दीजिए, पता नहीं पर करेगा.
That is how we always bank on him, and today's session will be an enlightening session for everybody whosoever is there in this session, and I will urge everybody to make the optimum use of this session so that that understanding, that knowledge helps you in all time to come. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Manasvi, and thank you, sir. Actually, I am feeling here very much privileged. The communication whatever we shall impart, that will remain very informal and interactive also. That's why I would like to express myself first of all that it is a great privilege to be introduced, to be honored, to be called by mentor. You will also feel in the future when your mentor calls you and mentor honors you. The Professor Saxena has remained my mentor. Actually, he was instrumental to get me from media profession to media academics once upon a time. And he was also my senior, you can say my boss, when I worked in print media. And that is why I am especially privileged and I am especially favored by him. And that's why whatever he has told about me, there was some exaggeration. So don't expect so much as he has told about me. So let's start development. Development is a very, you can say it is not very old term when we talk about in the international perspective. Actually, development existed for long, from generations, from centuries. And the regimes, the reigns, the powers, they executed development program in their own way. But now the formal thinking of development has started. And whenever there are elections in politics also, development is also closely associated to the politics. and the political awareness. Whenever it happens, in every subsequent elections, we talk about development. Media and development. There is a very close relation between media and development. It is said that democracy is the most conducive system for the development. I'll tell you how. First of all, try to understand media and development. And media also, the teachers would have informed you, imparted, that media is also an essential system for the democratic state. If the states of the world that are not democratic, you will see that media is working there. But media's work is not just for the welfare of the state or welfare of the people. It is not so critical for the other three pillars of the state, executive, legislature and judiciary. It is not so critical. But it is according to the the principles of journalism or media. Media is a very umbrella term. Media may be entertainment media and journalistic media. I am telling you about, I am particularly speaking to you about news media or journalistic media. So, it is said that it should be very critical for other three pillars of the state, in democratic state. So, media, how media will remain critical? When media will be critical for development policies, administrative policies of the government, whatever is wrong, whatever is right, there will be a discretion in the view of media. And that's why media is also very much concerned with the development. So, the government and media and development, these are interrelated things. Development is not a new term. Rather, you see, when European Renaissance occurred in 15th century, even then some people thought about development. When Martin Luther King, first of all, he protested against the authorities of church, there was a cause of development. He observed that if the church is very powerful, church is very dominant in Europe, Catholic Church, it is not working in favor of people. Rather, they are indulged in a number of corruptions. And that is why Martin Luther King protested against it, and a new sect in Christianity, Protestant, that was also called Protestant Revolution. And after Renaissance, you will see that a new kind of knowledge was instilled in the society, and then society started transforming from monarchy, the political systems started changing because of people's pressure, and then gradually in next 200 years you will see that system transformed from monarchy to democracy. And by the end of 18th century in most of the European countries, democracy was established. And it is also, you can say, by chance it is also, that as soon as democracy was established there, in those countries, industrialization also took its place. So, they went parallel, industrialization and democracy. And for our convenience, industrialization is not an overnight process, but for our convenience, we can say that it is around 18th century, or we can say 1750. For our convenience, we can say. Industrialization. When industrialization started, then in European world, a new system was introduced. New system. Earlier, here I want to establish the interrelation between politics, media, development and society. Everything is interrelated. A new society was born. Earlier only two strata of society existed. One was labor class and another one was elite, aristocratic class. And now when urbanization started, because of industrialization, urban centers is getting started, they were taking place in the world, taking birth in the Western world. Then a new class was established there, that was middle class. And the dynamics of middle class and urban centers were very different from earlier rural society. Earlier society that was dependent on the primary sector, And now new sector was born in the society. So social changes also started occurring. And then people, some concepts of development, some philosophers, some thinkers, they started thinking about development. शाहजहां ने ताजमहल बनवाया तो उसने डेवलपमेंट की नहीं सोची थी. Kings, princes and monarchs, their development phenomena was in accordance with their whim and fancy. लखनऊ में आसफुद्दौला ने बनवाया बड़ा इमाम बाड़ा. If any of you belong to UP, you might be knowing. So बड़ा इमाम बाड़ा was because of his whim and fancy. But there was another reason. There was a famine in the state and he wanted to provide employment to the people, and that is why he engaged a lot of laborers, starving laborers in the construction, and then that big structure was constructed. Here it is also associated to development. Just now you see Manarega, that is development. So there are multiple aspects of development. So people started thinking, and new concepts of development were born. New concepts. So since we were colonies at that time, so we could not execute our own indigenous plan of development. Whatever plan those colonial rulers, imperialists made for us, we were compelled to follow only that. There was nothing else. So we cannot say that our proper, adequate development phenomena started by that time. And that society in India was, the system, entire system was exploitative system. Some people say that they have done a lot in India. They have laid railway lines, they have laid telegraph lines, a lot of things. What for? It was for just you extracting, exploiting your resources and taking it to their own country. Right? Railway was not for your benefit. It's a very different thing. Some passenger trains were also, they also rolled over those lines, but it was for their benefit. Telegraph lines were laid just for the quick communication, for their administration, so that they can have a hold over the system. Communication just is it is a deviation little, but I would like to know that communication also has a role in administration. There was a philosopher Innis, and Innis once told, and later on his system was followed by Marshall McLuhan also. Innis once told that when there is a new system of communication, new technology in communication, entirely the social transformations occur. And not only social transformations occur, but also the administrative systems, administrative hierarchy also changes. He gave an instance. You know, long back portable media was not there. Portable media means, you know Ashoka's inscriptions that was carved in stones. So it was not portable. But gradually, you will learn later on, gradually portable communication started. Portable means when there was an invention in Egypt and China, they invented paper. In Egypt, there was a plant papyrus, and on the surface of papyrus, they wrote something. And they made a roll, scroll kehte the usko. Similarly, something was written on parchment, on the skin, some animal skin. It was rolled. So this was a portable media, and that was a big invention. Today you cannot imagine how big invention it was, because earlier media was the written system, the communication was not portable. Now communication was portable. So whatever commands or dictates were given by a king, that could be carried to a long distance. And as soon as this portable system of communication came into existence, empires started taking place in the world, because they could rule over a long area. That was a principle or system given by Innis. And later on, Marshall McLuhan, he emphasized over in this theory. So media came, the development started in that era. And the system of development, and I wanted to say that they established here a telecommunication system, just they wanted to have an efficient administration, efficient control over the country, that's why. So development was not in our hands at that time. So we can say the real story of our development starts after freedom, not before that. It is not our development. And you know, by the time of when we observe our post-independence era, by that time, a number of countries of the world, actually, what situations after in post-World War era were not very conducive for the imperialist powers and colonies to have a control over entire world. Now the situations were very different. And that was also one of the reasons we credit our freedom fighters, Gandhi, etc. That is also true. I'm not saying it is wrong. But there was another reason also. But these imperialist countries, the colonial powers, they, after World War, they became so weak, they could not continue, they could not retain their control effectively over their colonial countries and their other countries. So gradually, all these countries started getting free, emancipated from the shackles of imperialism. You see, you will observe after that, not only India, but a number of countries of India, Asia, Latin America, and Africa, they got independence. Up to 60, 65, you will see one by one, a number of countries. And by that time, United Nations was also formed. United Nations was formed. There were two major objectives of United Nations, so that peace and harmony can be maintained in the world first, and so that jiski lathi uski bhais na ho, the strong powers may not crush the weaker powers and may not take hold of it. Iske liye bana. And whatever it is doing United Nations right now, it is a very different story. But with these objectives, United Nations was formed by that time. And then there was one more objective of United Nations to ensure equitable development of all the countries that got freedom. Equitable development. And United Nations also suggested the imperial powers, the erstwhile imperial powers, to provide technological and financial assistance to the newly born countries. And United Nations said that you have exploited these countries for a pretty long time. So this is your obligation to provide your technical and financial assistance to these countries. So that very soon these countries may come at par in development with you. And you know, at that time, those Western countries were developed and we were not developed. Means we were not only underdeveloped, we were not developed. So our story started, and then there was a predominant model of development existed at that time, and that model was imposed upon us by Western powers. And that model was industrialization, urbanization, modernization. That was a linear model. And the Western world, they only advocated this model, and they wanted us, even after our freedom, they wanted us to adopt this model. कि आप अपनी country को industrialize करिए, urban centers बनेंगे, तब modernization आएगा. Modernization does not mean that modern dress, modern hairstyle. Modernization means modern thinking. Then you will see there is the aim of the development is just for the single aim, upliftment of society. Then there will be upliftment of society. It was their system. Now we have to think about our system. And we have to analyze, when you are studying these things, don't follow only the syllabus. Just whatever has been written in the syllabus, you will cram it, you will somehow appear in the examination, and it is your duty to write it. You have to be critical and analytical for whatever you are studying. And whatever you are studying, you raise a question why it is relevant and how you can relate whatever you are studying with the contemporary socio-political conditions of the country, how you can relate it. Always raise a question. Only then you can understand what is development and what is development communication. Then our country also started. So it was almost, you can say, after 200 years, right from industrialization to 1950s, that is the era of post-independence, that is the era of post-World War, the rethinking process started. Actually, what is development? And the countries who got freedom by that time, they started redefining development. Development is not only industrialization. So the countries, later on, the same model was adopted in most of the countries, industrialization model, but they were compelled to think again. And in the 70s, the definition was revised and it was advocated, it was told by the most of the philosophers. जो economists पहले होते थे वो western world के भी होते थे, वही होते थे. Whatever they told, we followed. But later on, the philosophers from India, economists, development thinkers and philosophers from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Latin American countries, they had a say on the international arena. Economists like Amar Taseen from India, Mehboob Haq from Pakistan, Muhammad Yunus from Bangladesh, David Morris, Andrew Paul Freire from Latin America, big names. So they were also heard in the world. And they started giving new philosophy. Ki only industrialization and urbanization is not development. Development is beyond that. Development is actually the upliftment of each and every person. Development should not be top to bottom, that is trickle down. It should be bottom up. It should not be top down. There is one person and one minister, one industrialist, one bureaucrat, and the person will dictate what should happen in your village. And there should not be a dependency. You should always wait for a minister or a bureaucrat just to come and just to bring some development, make some roads, make some water supply systems. You should also be proactive. Development should start from the bottom, from the people, not from the power. Bottom up. So there are two systems, top down or bottom up. You try to analyze what system is existing here. Development from the lowermost strata of society. Earlier people, they had a thinking that once the society will become industrialized and big industries, big industrialists will come into existence and there will be a lot of capital that will be accumulated on the upper strata of society, then the capital will trickle down. It will come down and it will benefit the common man also. But that theory failed. After 70s it was observed. And right now you are also, I am not criticizing any system or any government, but right now you can say that some of the capitalists of India, they are getting richer and richer. If you read the newspaper, you might have seen. Adani was, before some years, he was on 10th position by the 2014. He was nowhere in the Forbes list, and now he is second in the world. So gradually they are getting upper and upper. They get getting upper and upper position. So it means on one level there is more and more capital accumulation. And on the another level you will find number of people below poverty line. Hunger index में हम अभी भी बहुत नीचे चले गए हैं. We are lagging far behind year after year. So what is happening? We have to think. We should not be very critical for any government or any system. We have to think why this is happening. One strata, it is getting rich and richer day by day. Another strata, we are all middle class. Our struggle for our life has becoming more and more intense day by day. Why? Life is not as easy as it was earlier, but their life is easier. So where is the fault line? What is wrong in the system? Whenever we are studying development, we should start thinking, because you are the people who have future. And in the future, only you have to think. So if you will not be a thinking people right now, so India cannot develop, actually. And the corrective measures may not be taken later on. So let us think what is development. Yeah, concept. चलो हम बहुत theories पे बात नहीं करेंगे, थोड़ा सा concept पे बात करें. Next slide. Development as a state of condition, static. Development as a process of course, change, dynamic. Development is dynamic. It is a dynamic system. And the general definition of development, you can say, it is the general upliftment of the society. So in India, we started from scratches. हमने भी development शुरू किया. The system that was mixed economy, there is an interrelation between economy and development also. Economy means what economic system you will implement while you are developing. One system is a welfare state. One system is capitalist system. Means you are stressing more on industrialization. एक होती है direct productive activity, DPA, और एक होती है social overhead capital. So some capitalist countries, they believe more in direct productive activities. There are more big organization, business, industries, corporates are established, and they provide employment to the people, just as America. And there is a socialist system also. Ki you provide more and more for the social development. You spend more on education, on health, on infrastructural development of the people, and that is not an expenditure, that is supposed to be an investment. You may compare in India, there are two states. One is Gujarat, and one is, you can say, Delhi, for example, or Kerala. In Gujarat, when you visit Gujarat, I am not saying what some system is wrong or some system is right. You will see there are big industries, big business in Gujarat you will find. And when you will visit Kerala, you will find that the development, the social development is very strong there. The poorest of the poor has got a pakka house. That is from the government. That is the most literate state you might be knowing. Literacy, health literacy, that is almost free. And most of the social welfare measures that may be taken, that government takes those measures in Kerala. There are a number of things. I won't count each and every. So these are, you can say, these are two systems. When we started, we wanted to have a mix of these two systems, mixed economy. That is called mixed economy. And we continued our development. So decade after decade, there were 5 years plans, and we analyzed and we reanalyzed our development schemes. ये कहाँ तक feasible थी, कहाँ तक conducive थी, कहाँ तक successful थी. More and more, अब जरा सा ये समझें कि अभी modern concept क्या है. अभी क्या है कि whenever we, UNDP, there is an organization, sister organization of United Nations, they made and UNDP made a system that there are different countries, newly born countries in the world. And how it will be measured that which country is on the upper level of development, which country is on lower level of development. And just to measure it, they made an indicator. उसको index कहते हैं, development index. And the report of this development index is released every year. एक तो WDR आती है, World Development Report, और एक HDI आती है, Human Development Index. उसको Human Development Report कहते हैं. So that they release. And whenever these indexes or indicators are expressed in digits, for example, per capita income of the country, digits, GDP of the country, gross enrollment ratio, dropout rate of the girls, infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, like that. A lot of indicators. And right now there are thousands of indicators, and means collectively from those indicators, the country's development index is decided. How much a country is higher, how much a country is lower. एक अभी बिल्कुल अलग बना दिया गया है HDR, Human Development Report, और HDI एक है, Human Development Index. उसमें देखा जाता है कि which country is high, which country is low. So that you can understand what is your status. ये indicators क्यों बनाएंगे? So that each and every country may understand where they are standing. And accordingly, they can make more effort to be better. अगर हम नीचे हैं, तो हम effort करें कि हम better हों. So this report is, तो अब मैं बताता हूँ कि in 50s we started our development. The most of the theories and the concepts of development, they were dominated by economic indicators. And for a long time, economy was also understood to be development. Just as in general, if you ask anybody what is development, a very good roads, very big buildings, a very shining city, very glittering world, that is development. They won't take care of other things. बहुत सी कारें देखने को मिलती हैं, बड़ी-बड़ी buildings मिलती हैं, बड़ा developed country है. There is a general concept. So it means economy. It means if the people, most of the people are rich, that is development. But there is one question. Brunei is that country where one of those countries where per capita income is highest. Brunei is ये जो Far East है ना, कोरिया वगैरह के पास, यहीं कहीं है छोटा सा. And that is a oil producing country, oil rich country, fossil fuel rich country. And that is ruled by a sultan. Brunei का सुल्तान है. Oil बहुत produce होता है. Population comparatively कम है. So in this way country's income is very high. So there is as far as per capita income and economic indexes are concerned, there is one of the richest countries. But whenever you will see SDI and other development indicators, they have been placed very low. So it is not all economy and economy that can indicate the development of a country. Economy is not everything. It was later on realized that apart from economy, there are other factors that make an impact upon humanity. There are a number of countries in the world where dictatorial rules, military rule, tyranny, or the monarchy exist, where people, they are not free to speak whatever they want. They are also, the people almost, you can say, they are confined or caged. They don't have a freedom just to express themselves, just to do whatever they want. The people started realizing this kind of system is also, this is lagging in development. This is not forward in development, rather this is backward in development. May be very rich. Qatar may be a country that is very rich. But if the democratic system does not exist there, they are lagging behind. In some sectors, they are lagging behind. So when it was realized by the later on economists, development thinkers, new paradigms were added. और भी चीजें उसमें जोड़ी जाने लगी. Earlier, I tell you, the definitions of development earlier in 1950s were dominated by economy only. If GDP of a country is very high, country is developed. Per capita income is very high, country is developed. Consumption of petrol per capita is very high, country is developed. Gross means that is called national income is very high, the country is developed. Or economic indicators. But now they started adding social indicators and human indicators, just as health, education, etc. And health education also started getting a place in the development paradigm, in the paradigm of development. The economy is not in all. If the equitable distribution of money is not there, if the adequate arrangement of healthcare is not there, if the proper education facilities for everyone is not there, it is not properly development. You will see a number of countries are on the way of regression. They once developed and they are coming back. I'll tell you some example of Iran, example of Afghanistan, example of Turkey. There was a person, Mustafa Kamal Pasha. उसके नाम से एक रोड भी है दिल्ली में. Mustafa Kamal Ataturk. In 20s, he became the ruler of Turkey, and Turkey was an Islamic state, and later on he wanted to make Turkey a modern state. So he brought development in Turkey, and he means for every kind of orthodoxy, he made the society free. Turkey became a very modern country, and Turkey's economy, Turkey's social system became at par with European countries. So Turkey also became a claimant for the NATO and European community. They also became. But later on, you see on the turn of the century, another ruler came, and they started regression. You will see the movies of Afghanistan in 50s and 60s. So in Afghanistan, girls are equally participating in every development process. They are going to colleges and universities in modern dresses, skirts, everything. These are the videos of 50 and 60. And what is happening right now in Afghanistan? Girls are not allowed to go to the school. So this is regression. So we are not on the, some countries you can say, we are not on the path of development, rather we are coming back. So a number of new dimensions were added. Dimension, what may be the probable dimensions? If everyone has not got the equal opportunity of development, if everyone does not have an access for development, if equitable opportunities are not available for everyone, that is also not development. The new dimensions were added. बहुत सारे new dimensions. Just as I told you, health and education, other dimensions like later on new dimension, environment also came into existence. If there are environmental damages in a country and development is, a new terminology was added, that is sustainable development. Means if you are consuming fossil fuel and whatever the system of development you have adopted, and later on you are not thinking for the generation that will come, then what will happen? A day will come when humanity will come to an end. Just as example, we are using fossil fuel. A day will come when fossil fuel will come to an end. So what the new generations will do when the fossil fuels will come to an end? That's why we started talking about the renewable energy. And we have also started talking about SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. By 2030, we are targeting to receive it. Sustainable Development Goal. Development started, there was not only the macro view of development, but people started to thinking about the micro view of development. ये एक अलग तरीके की thinking develop हुई कि if each and every person will have a happy life, if each and every person will enjoy his life, that is real development. If nation is earning a lot of money from export, if national income is very high, that does not mean development. Then a number of things were added, जैसे as environment. अभी एक recent phenomena that is a very, I am also aware of it. There is a forest in Chhattisgarh, हसदेव अरण्य. अब देखिए डेवलपमेंट के डायनेमिक्स समझिए. तो हसदेव अरण्य is a very green area. And it is, you can also say, it is almost lung for the people. Never touched, never ever touched forest, virgin forest quite. So people of that area, and government decided to start coal mining there, right now, just before 1 year. And people of that area, they protested against it. कुछ case studies समझिए तो उससे आपको, you will be very clear. They started protesting against it. कि their forest should be maintained, and it is. And earlier, before the decision of the government, that was no-go area. No-go area means that land was under the purview of Forest Conservation Act 1980. Means no work will be done in that area apart from forestry. And later on, the government started changing the system because they wanted to the mining of coal there. So this protest continued for a pretty long time, for almost 1 year. And later on, people lost their battle and government won. And yesterday I got a video clipping that the big machines have been implemented there and the entire forest is being depleted. बड़ी मशीनें लगा के फॉरेस्ट हटाया जा रहा है कि अपर लेवल उठा के फिर कोयला निकाला जा सके वहाँ से सॉइल की. लेट अस थिंक, एक क्वेश्चन इसमें और है. डेवलपमेंट में देखिए पैराडाइम्स जोड़े गए, एग्रीकल्चर जोड़ा गया और एग्रीकल्चर एलाइड एक्टिविटी जोड़ी गई. कल्चर वाज एडेड इन इट कि देयर मस्ट बी कल्चरल कंजर्वेशन ऑल्सो इन ए कंट्री, एंड इफ कल्चरल कंजर्वेशन इज नॉट देयर देन डेवलपमेंट इज lopsided. Communication was added, education was added, science and technology was added in it. Scientific and technological development should also be there. Human development was added, human happiness, the longevity of life, education, इससे मिला के SDI बना. बहुत सारी जो paradigms जो थे, parameters जो थे, in development it was added. And development became a collective term. Means it is not only economy, but apart from economy, it was also said that if a country is very rich, Earlier I have also explained it. But in a country, people don't have a freedom of expression, then country is not developed. It means country is not, according to modern paradigms of development, country is not at par with the rest of the world. And that is why there are different indicators. That is why there are indicators how much transparency exists in a country. If a country is developed, but some extremism, some terrorism, some threat prevails in the country, then people are not happy. If people are always threatened by some extremist power, some terrorist, it means they are not happy. Country is not developed. A lot of paradigms were added that you will study later on in your semester. And now you let us think. One criteria is there, development for whom? We should start thinking it. Kiske liye? You have to maintain a balance when you are thinking about development. Suppose, take a case. There is a continuous conflict between environmentalist and developmentalist. Environmentalists say that conservation of environment is essential. I take the example of Hasdev Aranya. Aranya means forest. And developmentalists say, so-called developmentalists say, development is a very collective term. That's a coal mining is also essential for the world. Otherwise, how we can get energy? ये भी है. दोनों का कहना अपना अपना सही है. तो इसमें cost, here we have to do cost benefit analysis. What we are losing, what we are gaining. If losing our environmental protection, this we will pay negatively affect our humanity in a long term, whether we should analyze, will it happen? Or right now, if we have started mining of coal, it will pay dividends to us. We have to analyze. We have to think one thing, development for whom? Development for corporates or development for people? Who is getting affected by this kind of development? ये किसके लिए है development? ये हमें सोचना होगा. अब 2-3 केस स्टडीज आपको बताते हैं, आप उससे समझने की कोशिश करिए. Tiri Dam was constructed long back. Tiri Dam. How sometimes, I am not going to criticize government, but how the decisions of government may make a negative impact upon people. A lot of experts of the world, who were the experts of dam, they suggested that Himalaya is very unripe system. जैसे कहते हैं कच्चा है ये बिल्कुल पहाड़. And construction of such a big dam on such a massive river system is not suitable. World economists, specialists, they suggested. But despite this suggestion, Tehri Dam was constructed. And when Tehri Dam was constructed on Bhagirathi, entire civilization was buried in it. पानी में Tehri के culture, there was an entire culture, entire civilization inundated. पानी में डूब गई. ठीक है? People, they got, अब कहाँ loss होता है देखिए. One loss, environmental. Entire environment of that area, entire environmental system of that area was damaged. One, culture. One indigenous culture of Tehri state, there was a king, and Tehri state that existed for centuries. Culture, depleted, finished. People, they got destabilized and got settled on different other areas. एक culture खत्म. Culture is a collective term. People have their own folk dances, folk songs, style of dressing, style of eating. Everything was just dilapidated, disturbed. One culture came to an end. One civilization came to an end. Lot of depletion, environmental depletion occurred there. A lot of destruction. What is the gain? Gain is we have collected the water. We have started supplying those waters to the big cities later on coming into existence like Gurgaon, Noida and Delhi. Gurgaon, Noida and Delhi, they are getting Ganga water from Tehri Dam itself. So we are getting benefited. And the power production that was expected to be कि कितनी बिजली उससे बनेगी, तो almost we are getting 40% of the total capacity. Less than 40%. And now you do cost benefit analysis. One kind of people were totally destroyed for the benefit of other kind of people. Isn't it? What do you think? एक तरह के लोगों की कीमत पर दूसरे तरह के लोगों का डेवलपमेंट. Think about it. Just I am telling you, think about it. Just for the benefit of one society, you are damaging another society. So let us think, Narmada Dam. Big stretch of humanity, the villages, they got inundated. मेधा पाटेकर का एक्टिविज्म किस लिए था, उसी पे था. You have to analyze always what benefits we are getting and what we are losing. And then we have to think, मैं किसी को criticize या नहीं कर रहा हूँ, किसी प्रोजेक्ट को गलत नहीं बता रहा हूँ, सोचना आपको है. You have to think. And development for whom? That is a question. किसके लिए development है? Who is getting benefited from the development? Who is getting damaged from this kind of development? This, we have to raise this question. You will later on study the next slide. Raising people's living level, income and consumption level of food, medical service, etc. Creating conditions conducive to the growth of people, self-esteem, through the establishment of social, political, economic systems and institutions which promote human dignity. That is very important aspect. Human dignity and respect. Just to have a dignified life is also the objective of development. A lot of people, for the seeking the employment, they go to one of my relatives. I will tell you a story. He went America, US just to have some study. He did his post graduation there. He got an employment and very attractive employment there. But after 1 year, he came back to India. He is my nephew, my sister's son. When I asked why, when you were getting such an attractive salary in US, why you have come back to India? You are not getting that much here. He told me that, Mama, people treat us as a second-class citizen. If we agree that we shall be treated as second, wherever he was, I am not telling that everyone is being treated, or that may be a special case. I am not generalizing it. But suppose if this is the condition, if in a country itself some people are not living a dignified life and some people are living a dignified life and there is a discrimination, this is not actual development. And that is continuing in India for generations because of this caste system, caste discrimination that is existing. And that our makers of our constitution, they have again and again, they have strove hard, they have made a hard effort to remove this discrimination. They have done a lot of things. But still you see in the news, there are such news items that a boy was killed because he touched the matka of a teacher, higher caste teacher, like thing. So this is all a shame for the country if the people themselves are being discriminated on the basis of color, on the basis of caste, on the basis of income, or whatever basis, on the basis of gender. You see, we also talk about gender parity. Gender parity. Ki male, female, number of male and female is equal, or there is an anomaly. For after every 1,000 males, how many females are there? If his ratio is very little, I'll tell you a story. I have told you that very often I work in the field of development. So I went to a district of Madhya Pradesh, that is Anuppur. And when we were doing some health project there, so when we observed the data, the government data of that district, we found that gender parity is very nice there. Out of 1,000 males, there are almost 1,002 females. In ratio, females are higher. And this is very positive. This is considered very positive. So long back, 20 years back, Haryana में जो है, वो gender ratio में बहुत anomaly थी. 1,000 males, 800 or something females थी वहाँ. This is very pathetic condition, you can say. So we were very happy कि नहीं, Anuppur is, they have, see, women are very much empowered there. And actually women were important. And when we started the further analysis, then one person informed us, sir, उसने कहा सर लेटेस्ट डेटा देखिए, चाइल्ड बर्थ जो हो रही है लास्ट 1 ईयर में उसका डेटा देखिए, और जब चाइल्ड बर्थ फॉर लास्ट ईयर जैसे वी वर डूइंग समथिंग इन 18, तो जब 17-18 का चाइल्ड बर्थ डेटा देखा तो वी फाउंड दैट कि per thousand, whatever number of children were born in Anuppur and surrounding area, per 1,000 boys, only 700 girls were born. Up think, when they will grow old, they will become adult, then what will the gender ratio at that time? Then we wanted to find out the reason. क्या reason है इसका, क्यों? तो वहाँ वो diagnostics होता है ना, that is prohibited everywhere in India, in the concealed way, in different villages, in interior rural areas, that was being done. And because the society earlier, that was a rural society, tribal society, so there was, though girls and boys for tribals are all equal, there is no discrimination. But the society started transforming in the due to course. There was a lot of industrialization. And in this kind of industrialization, it gives birth to what? It gives birth to which kind of mental transformation, mental change that is occurring. These are the issues that we have to consider. So, a dignified life and respect, that is also an essential part of development. Then, increasing people's freedom to choose by enlarging the range of their choice, variables, varieties of goods and services. चलिए आगे चलिए. Next, development communication क्या है? Let us discuss. One is development. I think if you agree that you have got some impression, you have got some idea of development. And development, you see, when you read newspaper every, a lot of the aspects of development are there. But you see, core aspects are our media. It should also be analytical for your media. Your media is lacking the core aspects of development. Just as what may be the issues of development in our country, we have to consider. The issues of development differ from country to country, from area to area. Education may not be an issue for Kerala, but the same education may be an issue for Bihar. Industrialization may not be an issue for Gujarat or Mumbai, but just to bring industrialization and employment to the people, it becomes an issue for the people of Uttarakhand, for Jharkhand, may be an issue. Social discrimination, social anomaly may not be an issue of some state, may be the issue. So we have to, and it is when we have to launching a program for development communication also, it should be very customized. We should consider the dynamics of that state, that particular area. So development also, we have a huge country, vast country, and development needs also differ from area to area, from country to country. We have to monitor. We have to conduct a research first of all, what are development needs. Long back, some experiments were done. Hindustan Times, then the editor of Hindustan Times was B.G. Varghese. He was a very prominent journalist of that time, in 70s. And he launched a campaign just near Delhi. There is a village in Mathura. A village name is Chatera. So they started publishing a column, Our Village Chatera. Some of the correspondents, they visited Mathura, Chatera every time. And they wrote about that village. And village got developed. Then the government's attention was diverted also towards that village. And village developed. But as soon as media withdrew it, stopped writing, the earlier condition came back, attention. So what our media is doing, whether if there is what are our core issues, we have to identify, and accordingly you have to analyze media, whether media is raising those core issues. Is there a core issue of unemployment? Is there a core issue of the development, the environmental protection? From area to, is there a core issue of hunger in India? What is there a core issue of education? Why education is becoming so costly from time to time? Still in some European countries, we should start thinking. And you are thinking people, and if you start thinking, you can pressurize later on the government. There was a time when we completed our study of masters and graduation in your journalism long back. We did not pay a single penny in a big university like BHU. And you have to pay lakhs of rupees for every year. Why this kind of circumstances are getting born in your nation? What is the situation of education? Why? देखो, अब political discourse भी बदलते हैं. Now, political discourse also is changing. There was one political discourse that Hindu-Muslim, and there has come, and abhi, keep an eye on the Gujarat election that is coming on. There is a changing political discourse on education. Now the ministers are going to the schools of Gujarat also. So Delhi initiated this process. हम अपनी पार्टी नहीं, that हम डिस्कोर्स कैसे चेंज करें, हम किसी पार्टी की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, डिस्कोर्स कैसे चेंज हो रहे हैं और डेवलपमेंट के इश्यूज क्या हैं जो हम whether we consider or not. डेवलपमेंट कम्युनिकेशन में एक बहुत बड़ा रोल मीडिया का भी है, लेकिन डेवलपमेंट कम्युनिकेशन ओवरऑल that is something very different, and I would like to, you have got an idea of development, I think. Yes, sir. Development is very collective term, and why after the Millennium Development Goals, we are targeting our sustainable development goals, and sustainable development and participatory development, they are the new terms of 21st century. Sustainable development. You are well aware of it. Where we have to render our coming generations a very intact and very healthy earth. And whatever we are doing, that should not damage the coming generations. That is sustainable development. Participatory, there is a term, just I know. Participatory development means development should not be top down. Whatever one political leader, whatever one bureaucrat says, the development should be done according to the person. You should raise your needs, what is actually here. In one village may require community water supply system, not school. Another village may require school, not community water supply system. But if the policies are centralized from the capital, the people plan for the development of villages, they are not aware of it. So where already there is a water supply system, they can again launch a water supply system there. एक बार क्या हुआ हिंदुस्तान में, पता लगा सारे देश में पानी की बहुत कमी है, तो एक पॉलिसी बनी कि इंस्टॉल हैंड पंप्स एवरीवेयर. ऑन एवरी 450 पॉपुलेशन इंस्टॉल ए हैंड पंप. ये बात है 80s का, तो 450 की आबादी के बाद पर एक हैंड पंप लगाया जाने लगा. एंड लेटर ऑन इट वाज आइडेंटिफाइड when in areas where even where the clean surface drinking water was available, there also they launched a hand pump. The area where the water availability, water table was very deep and underground water table was not potable, not drinkable, hand pump was launched there also. This is a centralized development. What should be participatory? When people participate, when people raise their demand, that there should be a development. Not only they should raise their demand, they should make policies, their own policies for development. They should decide what kind of development should be there. They should execute the plan of development, and they should evaluate and maintain also the development. Suppose we kaise कि people should come up what kind of development is required. उनके गांव में वाटर सप्लाई सिस्टम, कम्युनिटी वाटर सप्लाई होना चाहिए, रोड होना चाहिए, स्कूल होना चाहिए या पॉन्ड होना चाहिए, ये वो डिसाइड करेंगे. एंड देन द टेक्निकल एंड फाइनेंशियल असिस्टेंस विल, दिस इज अ मॉडल ऑफ डेवलपमेंट. Technical and financial assistance will be provided by the government, and that construction, that kind of thing will be established in that village. And then the execution, that is properly or running, there is a tendency. सरकारी चीज़ है, हमसे क्या मतलब, टूटे फूटे गांव के स्कूल आप देखें टूटे फूटे, तो people have a passive attitude towards the development systems. If they will connected with it, if they will be decision makers, then they will be actively, they will participate and they will maintain And later on, they can evaluate whether the system that has come, it may be an infrastructure or otherwise also. तो किसी भी तरह का system हो. तो ये participatory development है. That is also the modern term. Now let us in a nutshell, बहुत ज़्यादा time नहीं लूँगा. Now nutshell we should come to development communication. थोड़ा मैं glimpse आपको दे देता हूँ, उसके बाद आप समझिएगा कि वो क्या है. Development की तो idea हो गई. Any more question? हाँ? So culture is also an integral part of development, essential feature of development. Communication. Whenever we communicate for the development, अब देखो एक term है communication, एक term है communications. Communication, you know, we transfer our ideas, attitude, our some information, some message, thoughts, sentiments, emotions, feelings from one person to another person, by any medium. It may be audio, visual, color, words, symbols, graphics, illustrations, by any medium. That is culture, okay? That is communication. Communications, there are different kind of communication. Different kind of communication. And an expert in one kind of communication is unable to do another kind of communication. People who are expert in journalistic communication, journalist. Some people who are in marketing communication, advertising industry. Some people are in strategic communication. Different communications are there. Similarly, there is one term, development communication. That is also a term. The communication that you are doing for development. That you are doing just to bring a change in the society. Development communication is always purposive. जैसे other communications may not be purposive. Journalistic communication. ध्यान दीजिएगा, journalistic communication is ethically not purposive. You are not writing a news just to persuade somebody to vote for a political party. Your news is very objective and impartial. Ideally, ethically, it should remain very objective and impartial. But the journalistic communication, you are writing a piece, you are writing a write-up for journalism, and you are going to introduce, you are writing, suppose, about a new variety of seed that has been invented in any research organization. And you are telling, you want to tell the farmers, the people involved in agriculture, that this kind of seed, that is a new variety of seed, that can give a high yield to your agriculture. And since we know that since our society is orthodox society, and sociologists have also conducted research and said that orthodox society, the traditional society, is very reluctant for the change. कभी कभी होता है कि हम जल्दी चेंज नहीं करते. ठीक है, हम हमारे बाप दादा ये सीड लगाते आ रहे हैं तो हम भी वही करेंगे. तो if you are persuading them just to cultivate a new variety of seed and quit the old practices, adopt the new technical practices of agriculture, you are writing such a thing, so you are persuading them. So journalistic writing in development may be persuasive, so it is purposive. It is purposive. It is pragmatic. The development communication is always pragmatic. Pragmatic means it should yield a result. I will give you an example. एक बार जब public distribution system, PDS, you know, under PDS, in every village, every part of the society, the ration and other eatables and other essentials on subsidized rate are made available for the people, you know. राशन की दुकानें होती हैं, उस पर subsidized rate पे गरीब लोगों को चावल, गेहूं, चीनी, etc. that is distributed. When we conducted a survey during our during our stint in journalism, I also worked for human rights. Then we found there in some districts of UP, people were not aware that in their area there is any PDS shop. ध्यान दीजिएगा इस बात पर. There is any PDS shop, public distribution shop. So we try to ensure that people must be aware of the PDS. अब होता क्या है? In one village, the people do not know that the PDS shop is there. So what did they do? The PDS people who were allotted the PDS shop, they sold all the food grain and whatever else in the black market, and they did not distribute it among the people. And on the register, they maintained that it was distributed to the people like that. We made a writ petition in Allahabad High Court. Allahabad High Court should instruct Uttar Pradesh government just to ensure that each and every people, they know that there are PDS shops so that they can avail this facility. आप समझ रहे हैं? This kind of communication is also development communication. The government to people, government it is also responsibility of the government to, whenever they launch any development program, plan, scheme, just to make people aware that this plan scheme. So since people do not know, so we made a High Court instructed UP government just to ensure that people know that there are PDS shops so that they can avail it. And then UP government reported the High Court that they have distributed so many posters, so many pamphlets in numbers. Then we again filed a writ petition. Numbers do not serve the purpose. UP government should conduct a survey how much people of that area who were very unaware of the PDS shops, now they know PDS shops. It should be ensured. So development communication is pragmatic. Pragmatic with what is the result? What is the number? That does not mean how many times you have communicated, how many posters you have distributed, how much is the frequency of the communication. That does not matter. Actually, how much change has occurred after your communication. That is the purpose of development communication. That should yield results. A development communication. Go ahead. Next slide. In a nutshell, I am telling you. Imagine conceived in expensive boardroom. देखिए, development communication जब हम सोचते हैं, तो expensive boardrooms में इस पर सोचा जाता है. That is very different. In fact, it is conflict over resources, power, when one class is deprived of mutual interaction, reliable communication networks and social relation with which prohibits entering into manifold relation. So development communication, when we are thinking about in terms, we should start thinking with the people. How people will be benefited. Next, abhi ye bahut, you will also read it. This is a very accepted definition of development communication. This definition has been given by Nora Kibral in a generally accepted definition, you see, is an art and science. Is also, I would like to tell you, is an art as well as science. Art because you have to be creative in development communication. You have to be creative. Well, ab dekho, I will give you an example. Long back, DAVP, you know, DAVP. Director, DAVP, you know, anybody? DAVP is a government organization. You know? नहीं. ये ऐसे कर रहा था, he nodded then I think. DAVP is Directorate of Advertising and Visual Publicity. DAVP is the biggest organization of Government of India for advertising of ministries. ये करता है DAVP. Ad agency समझ लो Government of India का. तो long back, अभी तो DAVP में बहुत expertise आ गई है. Long back, since it was a government organization, तो very sketchy kind of advertisements they were released by DAVP long back in 70s. Government wanted to communicate about the breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is most healthy way for the growth of the child. Then they released a poster for village areas, and in a poster a woman was breastfeeding the child, infant. And when the feedback was taken from the people कि गांव वाले जो illiterate हैं, what are you examining, what are you observing in this poster, then they said that the woman is very unhappy because the child is dead. The entire objective was defeated. Entire objective of development communication was defeated. So you have to be, for the successful, effective development communication, you have to be creative. Creative means in what way you will write a copy. If it is an illustration, in what way you will do the illustration or graphics so that it can persuade people, it can actually inform people. So you have to be creative. But simultaneously, development communication is not like journalistic communication or everyday communication. If you are chatting here, talking here, it is not strategic, it is tactical. आपके friend ने जो बोला उसको आपने जवाब दिया, tactical है, ये strategic नहीं है. Development communication, like marketing communication, is strategic. It is planned. The kind of management is required there. You should try to understand your audience, to whom you are talking, what culture they belong, what is their language, what is their perspective. You have heard about SITE experiment, satellite instructional television experiment. You have heard, have you? नहीं पढ़ा अभी, 2 semesters में नहीं पढ़ा. An experiment was done long back in 75 in India. First time the India government wanted to see whether satellite system is feasible for not for educating people and for bringing upliftment. So they selected 24 villages of tribal areas and they launched a satellite television there. And from satellite something was communicated to those villages. You understand? 2400 गाँव में, जबकि टेलीविज़न इंडिया में प्रॉपर्ली था नहीं, ट्राइबल्स को उस गांव में सैटेलाइट सिस्टम दिया गया एंड एजुकेशनल एंड अदर डेवलपमेंटल प्रोग्राम्स वर ब्रॉडकास्ट. When they evaluated the program after 1 year, they found that there was only 5% growth in the learning of the people. इतना बड़ा सिस्टम लगाने के बाद, साल भर प्रोग्राम चलाने के बाद, they found that there is a 5% betterment in the learning for the people. Why? Whatever programs were made, they were not strategic, they were not creative. एक art and science, उस development communication में art और science नहीं थी. Art because it should be creative, science because it should be managed, systematic. Whatever knowledge is systematic, that is science. It should be well managed. You should know who are your audience. Yeah, art and science. Next definition is a process of strategic. अच्छा वो पहले वाला दिखाओ. हाँ. A process of strategic intervention towards social change. The objective of development communication is social change in positive direction. Next slide. Next. अब मैं बातें कुछ बता देता हूँ, फिर I would like to conclude that development communication, first of all, you should understand that this is strategic. It should be planned very well. It is systematic. मैं तो suggest करता हूँ development communicators को कि as successfully marketing people make a strategy for development for their communication, you should also adopt that. And wherever I had to do it, I did it like marketing. जैसे marketing people का देखो, 2 communication एक तरह के होते हैं. मैंने एक term बताया communications. Marketing is a different kind of communication. Development is different kind of communication. Journalism is different kind of communication. You see. So in a marketing people, they always, what do? They make a strategy, they can make a planning, and they are so creative, they try to communicate best in a most effective manner so that people who are going to, people may buy their product. वो करते हैं ना, वो अपनी जान लगा देते हैं एड एजेंसीज और कंपनीज क्रिएटिव बनाने में. वो आप कुछ लोग कॉर्पोरेट कम्युनिकेशन में जाएंगे तो यू विल लर्न इट. क्योंकि there is a clutter, there is a clutter in the market, there is so much rivalry, there is so much competition. You have got a brand, then amidst other brands you have to emerge superior, and emerge superior in your communication. So that is very persuasive, very effective communication, and a lot of brains are engaged there in that kind of communication, marketing communication. So I suggest the development people just to make their communication like that of marketing communication, so that people may be actually persuaded. If you want, expect any kind of behavioral change from the view. Development communications are different kind. Want any kind. Suppose people, they spread litter in any village, and because of that, in hygienic practices, there are diseases, and you have observed this phenomena in that village, and your society wants to bring a change there. You go there. You want what? Behavioral change. Nothing else. आपको कोई पैसा लगाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, कोई कंस्ट्रक्शन करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, कोई हेल्थ सर्विसेज इस्टेब्लिश करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, हेल्थ 2 तरह का होता है, प्रिवेंटिव एंड क्यूरेटिव. तो व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम देयर? प्रॉब्लम, क्यूरेटिव हेल्थ इज देयर, हॉस्पिटल इज देयर, बट पीपल, डिस्पाइट द अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ हॉस्पिटल, a lot of people fell sick because preventive health care is not there. Their practices are inhygienic, like that. Then practices. In one area of Chhattisgarh, I found that a lot of women of very interior area, they had an infection in urinary tract. When we tried to know the reason, then we came to know that only one thing can change their life. And because of their death also occurred. During their menstruation, whatever practices they did, that was not hygienic. So only the availability of sanitary pad could have changed the life of the people and changed the life, saved the life also. But tell them that this is, you have to bring a change in their behavioral practices, how to communicate them, use it. Not whatever you have been using according in generations, and that is called. So you have to bring a behavioral change. In behavioral change, how you will communicate them? You have to, it is strategic. Sometimes it is a change of attitude, sometimes it is a change of behavior. So you have to be very strategic, very planned in your communication, and very, there is one more thing in, जब development communication की बात शुरू में चलती है, and we started development, इसको slide बंद कर दो, it's of no use. So we started development first of all. So it was in 60s, there was the UNESCO people visited here. You would have heard the name of Wilbur Schramm, सुना है? So Wilbur Schramm, Paul Neurath, a lot of specialists, they came to India. How to launch here development communication? They suggested, Wilbur Schramm gave a model. Wilbur Schramm, he said that mass media is magic multiplier. Magic multiplier means one message is there, it multiplies the message manifold. One message, bas 5 minutes or, may be communicated to the people manifold, crores of the people, lakhs of the people. And that is why he suggested that mass media should be utilized in development communication. Yeah, he says, suggested our country, policymakers of our country, that your country is vast, development needs are vast, population is very vast, and development sectors are also unsaturated. Sectors means agriculture is a sector, education is a sector, health is a sector. These are all sectors. They say that just to cater the communication for such a large population, you have to adopt mass media. A bus indiscriminate use of mass media started in our country. We started launching more and more TV stations, more and more because rural people, illiterate, newspaper could not serve their purpose. Later on analysis was done, then we found that it is all a failure. Mass media cannot serve the purpose entirely because people cannot relate themselves with the generalized message of mass media. No. Then customized communication started. NGOs, the community workers, they were sent to the villages. And then customized community level communication process started. So that is a difference, development communication and development support communication. That the customized practices when it started, that was customized according to the need and necessity of that particular society, according to the language, the cultural perspectives of society, the communication was customized. एक हेल्थ प्रोग्राम लॉन्च होता है उड़ीसा के फुलबनी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में. A same health program was launched in the South Kannada areas. The means communication for these two areas may be very different because the learning aptitude of the people of these two areas is very different. So in this way it was said that communication of health development communication should be customized. So development communication is also an art, and just for the proper understanding of this subject, first of all you should understand development. अगर आप development समझते हैं तो you can further understand कि what should be the content of whatever you are writing, whatever you are speaking. मतलब you should know that only the big buildings and bright shining cities are not development. Apart from that, if there is somewhere in the country starvation, death is there, that is also the issues of development. So you must have first of all the understanding of the issues of development, and then you should know how to communicate. So both these things you have to learn in this semester. Thank you very much for patiently listening.